Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host. Welcome, everyone, to Azeroth United. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a little bit of a different one here today because I recorded the something new segment about the hero talent first look that they gave us, the 8 new hero talents, and it went for about an hour. Which is way longer than I had anticipated. And I generally like to keep the show at about the hour mark, at least for right now. And so rather than try and squeeze in the rest of the content and create a massive 110-minute show, I decided I'm just going to release this one as is. So there will be no news or anything like that. This is just the review of the hero talents that, or the deep dive of the hero talents that Blizzard released a few days ago, and kind of my thoughts on the different ones. So I hope you enjoy it, and we'll be back to the normal format next week. All right, thanks.
Let's talk about something new.
All right, so let's get into these hero talents. We mentioned this last week that Blizzard had released 8 new first look hero talents. So they've already released 8. So this brings us up to 16. There are 39 total specs in the game. So there's going to be 39 hero talents. And this is a very interesting. One thing that's really important to bring up is that Blizzard is calling this an evergreen feature. And that is a little nervous, or it makes me a little nervous. What they say is, the War Within expansion introduces hero talents as a new update to World of Warcraft classes. They are an evergreen form of character progression for each class specialization that introduces new powers and class fantasies. Feedback is critical to us as a part of creating an impactful and fun addition to the game. So we are sharing our goals for hero talents with the community to get first impressions of them and learn how well we're meeting those goals. Right. Okay, so they gave us 8 more trees. They are Elune's Chosen Druid, Wildstalker Druid, Scalecommander Evoker, Herald of the Sun Paladin, Templar Paladin, Trickster Rogue, Diabolist Warlock, and Colossus Warrior. So, and each one of these is tied to 2 different class specializations. So, for example, the Wildstalker Druid, you can pick that if you are a Feral Druid or a Restoration Druid, as an example. The Scalecommander Evoker, you can choose that if you are an Augmentation Evoker or a Devastation Evoker. So you get the idea here. You can't pick Scalecommander if you are Preservation. It's not on your little tree. There's a triangle graphic that's been floating around, and there will be a link to it in the show notes. But I'm sure you've seen it, and if not, you can click on the link and you can see it, and you'll be like, oh, that's what he's talking about. But let's run through this. And by run through this, I want to go through each one of these because I feel like it's really important to actually pay attention to what Blizzard is putting out here. And like what happened with the Oracle Priest, if it sounds like it's just going to be miserable, say something. Because if you're like, this doesn't sound like fun, I don't want to play this Druid or this Warrior or whatever, because it doesn't sound like fun. Okay, then that's when you need to say something. All right, first up, Elune's Chosen Druid. This is for Balance and Guardian Druids. Dedicate yourself to the Moon Goddess, increasing your control over the moon and stars. Infuse abilities with Astral Might, and call down potent lunar magic from the sky. So one of the things that's really interesting about this is that you can right now play a Moonfire spec Guardian Druid. It's not really a great build, but it is something that you can do. And that's one of the things that I really like about the talent trees is they give you these choices to say, hey, you can play this way. Sometimes I'll play a really bad off-spec talent choice when I'm doing world quests because it's actually better for world quests. My DPS might be lower, but maybe my range is better, my speed is better, my survivability is better, my utility, my fun. Maybe it's just more fun, and it's not something I can do in a Mythic Plus, so I'm just kind of goofing around. And I do, like, for example, on my Resto Druid, I do switch him to Guardian when I'm doing World Quests, because trying to do World Quests as a Resto Druid sucks. So, okay, so each one of these talent trees has a keystone ability and a capstone ability. And then within that, we have 3 rows of choices that you can go through, or they're not choices. There are some choice nodes, but you're going to get each one of these talents as you level up. So starting at level 71, you will get automatically, when you choose Elune's Chosen, you'll get this keystone ability, and then you can choose your first ability that you fill in. Okay, so first up, the keystone ability for Elune's Chosen is Boundless Moonlight. So, Fury of Elune now ends with a flash of energy, blasting nearby enemies with astral damage. So, for balance, you get Full Moon, which calls down 2 minor moons that deal astral damage and generate 3 astral power. Okay, so it kind of helps with your astral power generation. And then for Guardian, Lunar Beam now causes you to leech life equal to 10% of all damage dealt to enemies within the beam. Okay, so you're getting benefit from this ability to existing abilities. So the Fury of Elune is the new, or Boundless Moonlight is the new ability, but yeah. So this affects the different abilities that you already have. So if you don't have those abilities, if you don't use those abilities, this isn't really going to be a good choice for you. And I think that's something really important, and we'll see that down in the Warrior build. Okay, row 1, we have Moon Guardian. So this is for balance, Moonfire and Starfire generate 2 additional astral power. Okay. And for Guardian, free automatic Moonfires from Galactic Guardian generate 5 rage. Wow. I'm struggling with the reading here. Okay, so this is a really simple, all right, we're generating more astral power or more rage depending on which of these abilities you're using. Lunar Insight, Moonfire deals 10% additional damage. Okay, so we're really buffing Moonfire here. Glistening Fire, Bear Form and Moonkin Form reduce arcane damage taken by 6%, and all other magic damage taken by 3%. Okay, so, yeah, this is a really interesting start to this, which is basically we're buffing Moonfire, we're buffing Starfire for Balanced Druids, and we're reducing the damage taken by magic, which I think is really good because Bear Druids have typically been the physical damage tank. Lots of armor, lots of health. But here it's like, okay, well, we're getting the ability to reduce magic damage taken. So that's kind of cool. Okay, moving on. We have Lunar Amplification. Each non-arcane damaging ability you use increases the damage of your next arcane damaging ability by 3%, stacking up to 3 times. So if you use 3 non-arcane damaging abilities in a row, then your next arcane damaging ability will be 9% more damage. Okay, that's pretty cool. Atmospheric Exposure. Enemies damaged by the full moon, Fury of Elune, or Lunar Beam take 4% increased damage from you for 6 seconds. All right. So again, these are little, small incremental increases in the amount of damage taken or the amount of damage done, or the amount of damage that the enemies take. So, or the amount of damage that you take. So this is, but the point is none of these are amazing. Oh my gosh, this is like the most amazing ability ever. This is more of the, all right, this is going to help me a little bit. Each one of these options is going to help me a little bit. Each one of these talents is going to help me a little bit. Okay, next up, we have a choice node. So we either have Moondust or Elune's Grace, which, come on, Blizzard, get with the naming convention. You can't have Elune's Grace under Elune's Chosen. I mean, this is already getting way too confusing, but okay. So Moondust, enemies affected by Moonfire are slowed by 30%. Okay. Elune's Grace, using Wild Charge in Bear Form or Moonkin Form, incurs a 3-second shorter cooldown. All right, that's cool. I mean, it's a utility choice node, so it's not really buffing anything. It's just making the stuff that you do a little bit extra stuff or happen a little bit faster. Next up, we have another choice node. So you have Stellar Command or Lunar Calling. So Stellar Command increases the damage of Full Moon by 15% for Balanced Druids and increases the damage of Lunar Beam by 30% for Guardian Druids. and increases the damage of Fury of Elune by 15% for both specs. Or alternate, you can choose Lunar Calling, which is Starfire deals 40% increased damage to its primary target, but no longer trigger Solar Eclipse. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And then for Bear's Thrash now deals arcane damage, and its damage is increased by 12%. Okay, that's really interesting. Arcane Thrash. All right, cool. All right, I'm here for it. Next up, another choice node, the Light of Elune. Moonfire damage has a chance to call down the Fury of Elune to follow your target for 3 seconds and generate 18 astral power or rage over its duration. Okay. Or alternately, you can choose Astral Insight, which is Incarnation Chosen of Elune and Incarnation Guardian of Ursoc. Increase arcane damage from spells and abilities by 10% while active. Convoke the spirit's duration and number of spells cast increased by 25%. Okay. I see. Okay, so it's either your incarnation spells or your convoke the spirits. It's just worded weirdly. Okay. Yeah, that's you're buffing your cooldown, which is good. Or you just make your Moonfire hit harder. Yeah, I mean that's good. Okay, so far none of this is bad like the Oracle Priest was. This all seems pretty basic and straightforward, increasing the amount of arcane damage you're doing. That's really what, and giving you some utility. All right, and then the choice node, and that is Arcane Affinity. All arcane damage from your spells and abilities is increased by 3%. Or Lunation, which is your arcane abilities reduce the cooldown of Fury of Elune by 2 seconds, and the cooldown of New Moon, Half Moon, and Full Moon by 1 second. Your arcane abilities reduce the cooldown of Lunar Beam by 3 seconds. Okay, so either you're hitting harder or your cooldowns, your ability cooldowns are faster. So again, the community is going to go through and theory craft the shit out of all of this stuff, and so it won't really be a choice node. It'll be, well, you have to take Lunation or you have to take Arcane Affinity here. It doesn't matter what you want to take. This is just a straight, which one does better? Which one does more damage? Which one feels better to play? Okay, so now our capstone ability. So we go back to the keystone, which is Boundless Moonlight. And this increases the power of Boundless Moonlight. So Fury of Elune, the flash of energy now generates 6 astral power or 6 rage, and the damage is increased by 50%. So originally it was, it just says a flash of energy blasting nearby enemies for arcane damage. So this is just increasing the damage by 50% and also generating astral power and rage, depending on which talent spec you are. Then you also get Full Moon for Balanced Druids, New Moon and Half Moon now also called down one Minor Moon. And then Lunar Beam for Guardian Druids. Lunar Beam increases mastery by an additional 8%, deals 30% increased damage, and lasts for 3 seconds longer. Okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, so overall, I really like this hero tree. It's something that, it's not going to get me to play a Guardian Druid. So if I was already wanting to play a Guardian Druid, this might be really cool and really fun, and go, hey, I really like the arcane spec in Dragonflight that I can currently do. It just sucks as far as the damage goes. So this is a really good option if that's something that you like, because it's really heavily buffing that and might actually make it viable. So we'll have to see how that goes in terms of, like I said, the community is going to theory craft everything, and we'll know all the exact numbers and what's better, and you'll be able to put it all in your Simcraft, whatever, raid bots thing. So, okay. Let's move on to Wildstalker Druid. Okay, so this one's for Feral and Restoration. Wildstalkers are druids who feel such an affinity for the remote wilds of the world that they live amongst them, mostly in cat form, hunting to perpetuate the cycle of life and death and destroy those who would despoil nature. They use their healing powers to restore life to barren spaces and the creatures who live there. Okay, now this one is really interesting because it's all based on so let's just go through the keystone. The keystone is called Thriving Growth. Rake and Rip damage has a chance to cause Bloodseeker vines to grow on the victim, dealing bleed damage over 6 seconds. Okay, Then for Resto, you have Wild Growth, Regrowth, and Efflorescence have a chance to cause symbiotic blooms to grow on the target, healing over 6 seconds. Multiple instances of these can overlap, so it adds additional healing. Now, it's important to note that for this Keystone ability, they don't specify that Rip, Rake, Wild Growth, Regrowth, Efflorescence, and all these are spec specific. So this, to me, kind of feels like, all right, this is going to be the choice that you make if you really liked playing your Resto Druid as a to do cat weaving. So you're healing, and then you jump into cat form, you do a little bit of damage, then you pop out, and you do a little bit more healing. This is the hero talent for you. And I really liked that build, and it's a shame that they nerfed it, but that one's really fun. Okay. Next talent, you have Hunt Beneath the Open Skies. Damage and healing while in cat form increased by 5%. Moonfire and Sunfire damage increased by 10%. Okay, more damage. Regardless of whether you're Resto or Feral, you're just going to do more damage, which, again, is great for Resto Druids. Strategic Infusion is the next one. Tiger's Fury and attacking from Prowl increases the chance for Shred, Rake, and Brutal Slash to critically strike by 8% for 6 seconds. Casting Regrowth increases the chance for your periodic heals to critically heal by 10% for 6 seconds. Yeah, so this is, again, it's not specific to, well, only when in Restoration or only when in Feral. This is really promoting that hybrid playstyle. I'm going to bounce back and forth between two forms. I love this. This is great. I might play my Resto Druid again. Wildstalker's Power. Rip damage increased by 6%. Ferocious Bite damage increased by 4%, Rejuvenation healing increased by 3%, and Efflorescence and Life Bloom healing increased by 6%. Oh no, everything got buffed. Okay, next is Wildstalker's Presence. Wild Growth and Rake last 20% longer. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Next we have a choice node, which is Entangling Vortex or Flower Walk. So Entangling Vortex is enemies pulled into Earth Soul's Vortex are rooted in place for 6 seconds. Damage may cancel the effect. Okay. 6 seconds. That's pretty good. Or Flower Walk, which is during Barkskin, your movement speed is increased by 10%, and every second, flowers grow beneath your feet that heal up to 3 nearby injured allies. Oh, I like that a lot. Oh, that's cool. I mean, Barkskin's already got like a 60-second cooldown. Just pop it all the time. Wow, that's good. That's legit. I like that. Okay, next we have another choice node, Bond with Nature or Harmonious Constitution. Bond with Nature is healing you receive is increased by 10%. Harmonious Constitution is your regrowth's healing on yourself is increased by 50%. Okay, that's really cool because I do like the regrowth build as a Feral Druid, so that's pretty cool. Or you can just say, hey, if I'm with a healer, I'll take this other one because I will be getting healed. So that's good. I like that. Good choice. Okay, next up, another choice node, Resilient Flourishing or Root Network. So Resilient Flourishing, Bloodseeker Vines, and Symbiotic Blooms, which, remember, those were the things that you get from your Keystone ability. They last 2 additional seconds. When a target afflicted by Bloodseeker Vines dies, the vines jump to a nearby unaffected target for the remaining duration. Okay. That's cool. So no more, oh god, my thing went onto one target, but then he died right afterwards, so I lost nope, it's going to jump to the next one. Okay, or Root Network, which is each active Bloodseeker Vine increases the damage your abilities deal by 2%. Each active Symbiotic Bloom increases the healing of your Life Bloom and Wild Growth by 2%. So if you're spreading out your damage to multiple targets, it's going to increase the damage that you do overall. Okay, that one's really good. This is really good, man. Okay, so these Druid ones are good. I can tell whoever did the Druids is like, no, I want the Druids to be good in War Within, you know what I'm saying? Okay, next up, you have Bursting Growth, which is when Bloodseeker Thorns expire, they explode in thorns, dealing physical damage to nearby enemies. Damage reduced above 5 targets. Okay, yeah, that's fine. When Symbiotic Blooms expire, flowers grow around the target, healing them and up to 3 nearby allies. Okay, awesome. Another choice node, Twin Sprouts or Implant. So Twin Sprouts is when Bloodseeker Vines or Symbiotic Blooms grow, they have a 10% chance to cause another growth of the same type to immediately grow on a nearby valid target. Okay. So yeah, it's just 10% chance to spread. I guess that only can happen once, or I don't know. I guess we'll see. It's interesting. And then implant is the other option, which is Feral Frenzy immediately causes a Bloodseeker Vine to grow on the target. Or casting Regrowth that is made instant via Nature's Swiftness causes a Symbiotic Bloom to grow on the target. Okay. All right, that's fine. That's very situational, but I like it because it really helps buff your cooldown ability, so very cool. All right, now the capstone is Vigorous Creepers. Bloodseeker Vines increase the damage your abilities deal to affected enemies by 10%, and Symbiotic Blooms increase the healing your spells do to affected targets by 8%. Okay, this is really good. I really like this. I'm going to have to go back through the other ones now because I think Keeper of the Grove is the other Restoration Druid tree. So I'm going to have to read that one again and really try and decide what I'm going to do because I miss playing my Resto Druid, but I just can't play him right now. Oh, that's right. I remember now. It was the stupid Grove Guardians. God, I hate the Grove Guardians. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I will be a Wildstalker. I'll be a Wildstalker Druid, and I will do it, and I will like it, and I will call myself a Wildstalker Druid. Yes, sir, Mr. Blizzard. Okay. Next up, we have Scalecommander Evoker. So this is for Augmentation and Devastation. Scalecommanders are the chosen generals of the Drakthir, specializing in calling targets and inspiring those around them. They are experts in using flight during battle and are often seen leading the charge while in the sky. Cool. I love seeing the Evokers zip around and doing their breath and all that stuff, so this is pretty cool. Okay, so the keystone ability is Mass Eruptions and Mass Disintegrates. So if you are an Aug Evoker, you're going to have your next Empower spells cause your next Eruption to strike up to 3 targets. If you are a Devastation Evoker, Empower spells cause your next Disintegrate to strike up to 3 targets. Okay, it's a little weird the way they phrased that, but when striking less than 3 targets, Disintegrate or Eruption damage is increased by 25% for each missing target. So if you're hitting 1 target, then you're going to do 50% more damage. So that's pretty cool. All right. So first up, we have Might of the Black Dragonflight. Black spells deal 10% increased damage. Boom. Straightforward. More damage. Next up, Bombardments. Mass Disintegrate marks your primary target for destruction. For the next 10 seconds, you and your allies have a chance to trigger a bombardment when attacking marked targets, dealing volcanic damage split amongst all nearby enemies. So I guess it's just for Disintegrate. So yeah, it's weird, but okay. Again, these are new. First look, so all of this could change. Onslaught. Entering combat gives a charge of burnout, causing your next living flame to cast instantly. Okay, that's really good. That's actually really interesting. So every time you enter combat, so if you are dragging constantly in combat, yeah, that's in. Okay, well, that's it is what it is. Okay, next up, Melt Armor. Deep Breath, Devastation, and Breath of Eons, Augmentation, cause enemies to take 20% increased damage from bombardments and essence abilities for 12 seconds. All right, that's good. Like that. Next up, Wing Leader. Bombardments reduce the cooldown of Deep Breath, Devastation, and Breath of Eons, Augmentation, by 1 second for each target struck, up to 3 seconds. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. That's good. More cooldown management. Unrelenting Siege. For each second you are in combat, Azure Strike and Living Flame deal 1% increased damage up to 50%. Oh, shit. Okay, that's pretty good. All right. Yeah, you're really going to hit hard, especially on those long tyrannical fights. Holy shit. Okay. Now we have 3 choice nodes here. So first one is Hardened Scales or Menacing Presence. Hardened Scales is Obsidian Scales, reduces the damage taken by an additional 5%. All right, damage reduction. Menacing Presence is knocking an enemy up or backward, reduces their damage done to you by 15% for 8 seconds. Okay. I mean, that's good. I guess if there's no, it's not going to affect bosses. So I don't know. I think that one's kind of dumb. Another choice node, extended battle or diverted power. Extended battle is essence abilities extend bombardments by 1 second. Okay. And then diverted power bombardments have a chance to generate essence burst. All right. That's pretty cool. Another choice node, nimble flyer. While hovering, damage taken from area of effect attacks is reduced by 10%. That's really cool. Or tailwinds, deep breath, devastation, and breath of eons, augmentation, reset the cooldown of hover. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So this is really interesting. So I played Evoker for a couple of weeks. I was trying it out, and it really didn't stick with me. And I think that for me, the play style of the Evoker is really rough. I liked playing Preservation. I thought it was really fun. It's just it didn't really work out for me. So I like seeing that they're buffing the Evokers, but it remains to be seen. And will Devastation ever truly have a place when Augmentation exists? You know, you had to make Augmentation really strong in order for people to accept it, but it became too strong. And anyway, all right. Let's move on. The Scalecommander capstone is maneuverability. Deep Breath Devastation and Breath of Eons Augmentation can now be steered in your desired direction. Ooh. In addition, Deep Breath Devastation and Breath of Eons Augmentation burn targets for volcanic damage over 12 seconds. Okay, yeah, this is really good. I feel like they're giving them some really good battle utility and really buffing their damage. But again, it remains to be seen how well Augmentation will integrate and whether or not Devastation can kind of pull out from being kind of the redheaded stepchild of the Evoker tree after 10.1.5 when Augmentation was revealed. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Okay, next up is Herald of the Sun Paladin. So this is for Holy and Retribution. Heralds of the Sun infuse themselves with radiant solar energy to inflict burns on enemies and cauterize their allies' wounds. They are deeply bonded to this power and can manifest potent solar rays while fully connected to the light. This is really interesting because this is like an evil sun paladin type thing. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay. The keystone ability is called Sunspot, Wake of Ashes, or Retribution, and Holy Prism for Holy. Cause your next two holy power spending abilities to create a sunspot on your target, dealing radiant damage or healing over 8 seconds. 10% of sunspot's damage and healing radiates to nearby allies or enemies, reduced beyond 5 targets. Okay. All right, so this is... yeah, so it's kind of Wake of Ashes, and you're going to spread the damage out. Oh, no. That Wake of Ashes causes your next two holy power spending abilities to... Okay, I get it now. This makes sense. All right, and same thing with Holy Prism. So, and I've always hated the Holy Prism healing style, so this might not be for me, for my Holy Paladin. Well, he's a Ret Paladin right now, but honestly, I can't play Ret, so... okay, first up, we have a choice node. Morning Star or Gleaming Rays. Morning Star is every 5 seconds. Your next sunspot's damage or healing is increased by 5%, stacking up to 10 times. Wow. Okay. Morning Star stacks twice as fast while out of combat. Okay, so this is just like a passive buff that just goes. Weird. That's really interesting. Gleaming Rays is while a sunspot is active, your abilities that use holy power deal 10% increased additional damage or healing. Okay. All right. So this is really... Yeah, this is weird. I'm having a hard time understanding this. I'm sorry. Okay, next, Eternal Flame heals an ally immediately and over an additional 20 seconds. Healing increased by 25% when cast on self. Replaces Word of Glory. Costs 3 holy power. Oh, okay. So this is just the new heal. Okay. Luminosity, critical strike, chance of Hammer of Wrath and Divine Storm, Retribution, and Holy Shock and Light of Dawn, Holy, increased by 10%. All right. That makes sense. Let's increase our critical strike chance. Okay. Okay, another choice node. We have Illumine or Will of the Dawn. Illumine is sunspots reduce the movement speed of enemies by 50% and increase the movement speed of allies by 20%. Okay, so I'm curious how that works though. If you heal them and they get a sunspot, it increases their movement speed by 20%. Okay, got it. Will of the Dawn, movement speed increased by 5% while above 80% health. When your health is brought below 35%, your movement speed is increased by 40% for 5 seconds. Cannot occur more than once every 60 seconds. Huh. Okay, so this is like when a mage, Blazing Path or whatever it's called, for a fire mage. Okay. Next up, another choice node. We have Eternal Sun or Lingering Radiance. So Eternal Sun is Sunspot's duration is increased by 2 seconds, and Eternal Flame's duration is increased by 3 seconds. All right. And then for... So, Eternal Flame is the one that replaces Holy Power, Word of Glory. Got it. Okay. I'm trying to figure out, what is Eternal Flame? I don't know that one. Okay. Lingering Radiance is the other choice. Sunspots leave an Eternal Flame for 12 seconds on allies, or a greater judgment on enemies when they expire or are extended. Okay. So, Sunspot's duration is increased by 2 seconds, and Eternal Flame's duration is increased by 3 seconds. Eternal Flame heals an ally immediately and over an additional 20 seconds. So yeah, this is really interesting. So they're giving paladins a hot, essentially. This is really cool. And you don't get a choice on Eternal Flame. You get Eternal Flame. If you are a Herald of the Sun paladin, you do not have Word of Glory. You have Eternal Flame. So, all right, interesting. We'll see how that goes. The next one is Sun Seer, Hammer of Wrath and Divine Storm, Retribution, and Holy Shock and Light of Dawn, Holy. Critical strikes cause the target to burn for additional radiant damage over 4 seconds or be healed for over 4 seconds. Okay. All right. Okay. It's just so hots and dots for paladins. Okay. Next up, we have Aurora. After you cast Wake of Ashes, Retribution, or Holy Prism Holy, gain Divine Purpose. All right. That's good. Solar Grace, your haste is increased by 4% for 12 seconds. Each time you apply a sunspot, multiple stacks may overlap. Okay, good. So we're getting cooldowns. We're buffing our abilities. And then second Sunrise, Hammer of Wrath and Divine Storm, Retribution, and Holy Shock and Light of Dawn, Holy, have a 15% chance to cast again at 30% effectiveness. Okay, well that's not that exciting. I mean, it's fine. It's just stuff like that I don't really like because I feel like it messes with your rotation. Not that it's interrupting it. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. Okay. Then the capstone is Sun's Avatar. During Avenging Wrath, you become linked to your sunspots, causing radiant damage to enemies or healing to allies that pass through the beams, reduced beyond 5 targets. Activating Avenging Wrath applies 4 sunspots onto nearby allies or enemies and increases sunspots damage and healing by 20%. Okay, so you're buffing your wings. I was like, well, there's nothing for wings on here. So this is a really interesting one. I feel like this one's a lot more. I don't know. It doesn't flow as well as the other ones. So far, this one's a little clunky, so I'm hoping that this one gets a little bit of polish because honestly, as it stands right now, I wouldn't take this. This doesn't sound like fun, because it's a lot of if you do this, then this happens, and if you do that, then that happens, and I really hate that play style. So, but you know what? We'll see. And maybe I'll read through it again a couple times and see how I feel about it. And if I don't like it, I can put in some feedback. So, all right. Next up is Templar Paladin. Templar Paladin is for protection and retribution. Templars stop at nothing to fulfill their divine purpose of bringing justice and purging the wicked. They call down hammers of light and unleash devastating combinations of physical and holy attacks that vanquish their enemies. Now we're talking. Okay, so the keystone is Light's Guidance. Wake of Ashes for retribution and Eye of Tyr for protection are replaced with Hammer of Light for 12 seconds after they are cast. Okay, Hammer of Light is hammer down your enemies with the power of the light, dealing holy damage to the target and up to 4 nearby enemies. Additionally, calls down Empyrean hammers from the sky to strike 3 nearby enemies for holy damage. Costs 5 holy power. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. So you get that after you cast Wake of Ashes or Eye of Tyr, and it lasts for 12 seconds. So you could theoretically cast it. If you get 5 holy power, you can cast it, get 5 real quick, like do your Divine Toll or something, and then cast it again. Holy moly. Okay, that's really cool. So that's like you're building up to this really amazing ability. So you can plan for that because you know when it's going to happen. I'm going to cast Eye of Tyr. I know I'm going to get Hammer of Light. And so I can plan for that to happen. I can make sure I'm full on holy power. I can make sure that it's not a weird boss cooldown where I got to move and do a bunch of stuff. I'm clearing out this trash. It's the boss trash, whatever. I like this. Okay. First row, we've got a choice node, Templar's Watch or For Whom the Bell Tolls. I like that. Okay. Templar's Watch is Hammer of Light, Wake of Ashes, and Eye of Tyr deal 30% increased damage when striking only one enemy. All right, that's good. I like that. This amount is reduced by 6% for each additional target struck. Oh, okay, so that's cool. So it's not like it's one or all. It's going to spread out, and that 30% gives you up to 5 target. Okay, that's cool. So that way, this stuff will all get buffed on boss fights. Or For Whom the Bell Tolls. For Whom the Bell Tolls. Divine Toll grants up to 100% increased damage to your next 3 judgments when striking only one enemy. This amount is reduced by 20% for each additional enemy struck. So same thing, 5% or 5 enemies. 20% for each. Okay, so depends on if you really like Divine Toll or if you'd rather have it buff Eye of Tyr, Wake of Ashes, or Hammer of Light. So, pretty cool. I really like the first one personally, but, that's me. Okay, next up is Shake the Heavens. After casting Hammer of Light, you call down an Empyrean hammer on a nearby target every 2 seconds for 8 seconds. Okay, I'm good with that. That's cool. Empyrean Hammer. Okay, now we get to find out what Empyrean Hammer does. When Empyrean Hammer critically strikes, 60% of its damage is dealt to nearby enemies. Enemies hit by this effect deal 5% in reduced damage to you for 8 seconds. Wait. When Empyrean Hammer critically strikes, 60% of its damage is dealt to nearby enemies. Okay. Enemies hit by this effect deal 5% reduced damage to you. Oh, okay, I see. So when it crits on somebody, it does 60% more damage to everyone else nearby, and anyone that gets hit by that has to deal 5% less damage to you for 8 seconds. Cool. All right, I like that. That's good. Next up, we have Sacrosanct Crusade. When you cast Wake of Ashes or Eye of Tyr, you gain Shield of Vengeance at 10% effectiveness. Okay. I mean, it's not gonna hurt. Next up is Higher Calling. Crusader Strike, Hammer of Wrath, and Blade of Justice for Retribution, and Judgment for Protection. Extend the duration of Shake the Heavens by 1 second. And Shake the Heavens was your Empyrean Hammer that does damage every 2 seconds for 8 seconds. So extending it by 1 second, I feel like you're going to need 2 attacks or 2 extensions to make it useful. So curious to see how that goes. Okay, next up we have another choice node, Bonds of Fellowship or Unrelenting Charger. So Bonds of Fellowship is you receive 20% less damage from Blessing of Sacrifice, and each time its target takes damage, you gain 4% movement speed up to a maximum of 40%. Okay, that's pretty cool. If you're using Blessing of Sacrifice, which that one's honestly, Blessing of Sacrifice is really tricky to use for me, because I'm not smart enough to to know how to use it right properly. But that sounds good. Or Unrelenting Charger, Divine Steed lasts 2 seconds longer and increases your movement speed by an additional 30% for the first 3 seconds. Okay. Oh, so you're going to blast out of there. That's awesome. I like that. Okay. Next, we have another choice node, Endless Wrath or Sanctification. Endless Wrath is calling down an Empyrean Hammer, has a 10% chance to reset the cooldown of Hammer of Wrath and make it usable on any target regardless of their health. Okay, more Hammer of Wrath. Sanctification, casting Judgment increases the damage of Empyrean Hammer by 10% for 10 seconds Multiple applications may also overlap. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good. So if you're casting Judgment multiple times, like for example, I think it's Divine Toll makes you cast a bunch of Judgment. So I think there might be some interplay there. So that'd be pretty cool. Next is Hammerfall, Templar's Verdict, and Divine Storm Retribution, and Shield of the Righteous and Word of Glory for protection. Call down an Empyrean Hammer on a nearby enemy. While Shake the Heavens is active, this effect calls down an additional Empyrean Hammer. Okay, so if you do it right, if you time it right, you can have multiples of these go. Man, this is going to be like so much damage on her. The next one is Undisputed Ruling. Hammer of Light applies judgment to its targets and increases your haste by 15% for 6 seconds. Additionally, Eye of Tyr grants 3 holy power. All right, cool. That sounds really good. The capstone is Light's Deliverance. You gain a stack of Light's Deliverance when you call down an Empyrean Hammer. At 50 stacks, casting Hammer of Light empowers you for 12 seconds to cast Hammer of Light an additional time for free. Okay, so you get an occasional free Hammer of Light, and I'm sure it's because you're getting a number of stacks, then you are going to be able to track it with a weak aura, so you know exactly when to do it. So that's really cool. Okay, I like this. I like the Templar Paladin. All right, next up we have Trickster Rogue. This is for Outlaw and Subtlety. And full disclosure, I leveled my Rogue to 70 and then promptly abandoned him because it bored me to tears. And it wasn't because the class was boring. It's because I lost interest in trying to keep track of all of the ways that the different cooldowns interact with each other. Oh, well, if you have this cooldown, then that cooldown doesn't tick away, but if you have that cooldown, then this cooldown doesn't tick. I didn't like it. I know it does a lot of damage, and people really love playing a rogue. I've never been a big rogue player. That's just one of those classes, rogue, warlock. Those are the two really big ones that I've just never really enjoyed. So I am going to go through this, but just know that I don't know what half of these things are. So, all right. Misdirection, dirty tricks, and flashing blades are on display when a trickster enters a fight. A clever trickster distracts an opponent with a devious misdirection or sword's flourish, then slashes the fool with a blade they never saw coming. Coins are taken, leaving pockets lighter and egos bruised. Okay, the keystone ability is Unseen Blade. Feint now grants 2 combo points and quickly slashes with an unseen blade, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Targets struck are phased for 5 seconds. Okay. Phased enemies take 5% more damage from you and cannot parry your attack. So this is a trash ability. Okay. I mean, if this is your keystone ability, it should work on bosses. Okay. Okay, so first up is Surprising Strikes. Attacks that generate combo points deal 25% increased critical strike damage to phased targets. Again, you're not going to phase the boss. All right. And we have a choice node next, which is Smoke or Mirrors. That's very clever. For Smoke, you take 5% reduced damage from phased targets. And for Mirrors, Feint reduces the area damage taken by an additional 10%. Or reduces area damage taken by an additional 10%. Okay. I mean, that's fine. It's just, again, it's phased targets. Flawless Form, Killing Spree. Now, okay, so if you can target, struck, or phase for 5 seconds, if you could do that to a boss, then this is fantastic. If you can't, this sucks. All right, next is Flawless Form, Killing Spree, Outlaw, and Secret Technique, Subtlety. Grants mastery for 5 seconds. Multiple applications may overlap. Okay, that's cool. Next is another choice node. So we have So Tricky or Don't Be Suspicious. So Tricky is Tricks of the Trade's threat reduction. Threat redirect duration is increased to 1 hour. Don't Be Suspicious, Blind, and Shroud of Concealment have 10% reduced cooldown. Pickpocket and Sap range increased by 10 yards. Okay. So this is, I mean, whatever. Tricks of the Trade, you know, that's cool that it increases it up to 1 hour. But, I mean, I don't know. It's just utility. Devious Distractions, Distract and Killing Spree, Outlaw, and Secret Technique, Subtlety, cause targets to be phased for 10 seconds. All right. Choice node up next, 1,000 Cuts or Flicker Strike. 1,000 Cuts is Slice and Dice, grant 10% additional attack speed and gives you your auto attack a chance to trigger Unseen Blade, which is great if you're on a boss. And Flicker Strike is taking area damage while Feint is active or dodging, while Evasion is active, triggers Unseen Blade. This effect may only occur once every 5 seconds. All right. Next up is Nimble Flurry, Killing Spree Outlaw, and Secret Technique Subtlety. Deal 10% more damage and have a 10% reduced cooldown. There's nothing wrong with that. I like that. Choice node, Cloud Cover or No Scruples. So we have Cloud Cover. Distract now creates a cloud of smoke for 10 seconds and its cooldown is its cooldown is increased to 90 seconds. Attacks from within the cloud afflict targets with phased for 5 seconds. No Scruples, finishing moves with 10% increased chance to critically strike phased targets. Okay. Elaborate Twirl increases the duration of Flawless Form by 2 seconds. All right, that's fine. And the Capstone, which is Coup de Grace. After 4 strikes with Unseen Blade, your next Dispatch, Outlaw, Eviscerate, or Black Powder, Subtlety, will be performed as a Coup de Grace, dealing 40% increased damage. If the primary target is phased, gain 5 stacks of Flawless Form. Okay, I've got to see what people are saying about this now, because this is ridiculous. If you can't phase the boss, then this is a completely worthless hero talent tree, because everything relies on being able to phase the target. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I'm just going to move on because that one made me angry. Some of these are good. Some of these are bad. This one just makes me angry. All right. Next up is the Diabolist Warlock. So again, Rogue and Warlock are the two that I don't play. So, I do have a Warlock. He's level 60. But he's, first of all, from an RP standpoint, he's a wiener. I don't like him. But he's a void elf and he's got the edgy hair and he thinks he's just so cool, and he's just not. But I've never really been able to get into the Warlock playstyle. So the defeat of the Legion this is Demonology and Destruction. The defeat of the Legion has left many demons unbound and potent magics untouched. Bring the remnants of the Burning Crusade to heal, commanding greater demons once thought to be uncontrollable, and wreak havoc across the battlefield using abyssal powers from the Twisting Nether. All right, that sounds promising. The keystone is Diabolic Ritual. Diabolical. Spending a soul shard grants Diabolic Ritual for 20 seconds while Diabolic Ritual is active. Each soul shard spent reduces its duration by 1 second. Okay, so 20 seconds reduced by 1 second. When Diabolic Ritual expires, you gain Demonic Art, causing your next ability that costs soul shards to summon a Overlord, Mother of Chaos, or Pit Lord that unleashes a devastating attack against your enemies. Holy shit. Okay, I'm in on this. Whoa. All right. First up is Cloven Souls. Enemies damaged by your Overlord have their souls cloven, increasing damage taken by you and your pets by 10% for 20 seconds. Okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah, that's cool. Touch of Rancora. Diabolic Ritual increases the damage of your next ability that costs soul shards by 30% and reduces its cast time by 50%. Okay, this sounds like fun. Secrets of the Coven. Mother of Chaos empowers your next Shadow Bolt or Incinerate to become Demon Fire Barrage. All right, that's great. What is Demon Fire Barrage? Demon Fire Barrage is channel a barrage of 4 Shadow Bolts or Incinerates toward an enemy target over 1.5 seconds. Holy moly. Okay, next is a choice node. We got 3 choice nodes in a row here. Soul Etched Circles or Annihilan's Bellow. Soul Etched Circle is you always gain the benefit of Soulburn when casting Demonic Circle Teleport, increasing your movement speed by 50% and making you immune to snares and roots for 6 seconds. All right. Annihilan's Bellow is Howl of Terror. Cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds and range is increased by 5 yards. All right, that's cool. Nice little utility node. Another choice node is Cruelty of Kirksan or Infernal Machine. Cruelty of Kirksan is Nether Portal, summon Demonic Tyrant, and summon Infernal grant Diabolic Ritual and reduce its duration by 3 seconds. Okay, here we go again with the Diabolic Ritual. Infernal Machine, abilities that cost soul shards decrease the duration of Diabolic Ritual by 1 additional second while your Demonic Tyrant, Nether Portal, or Infernal is active. All right. And then finally, choice node, we have Infernal Vitality or Infernal Bulwark. So Infernal Vitality, Unending Resolve heals you for 30% of your maximum health over 10 seconds. On Infernal Bulwark, Unending Resolve grants Soul Leech equal to 10% of your maximum health and increases the maximum amount Soul Leech can absorb by 10% for 8 seconds. Okay, so this is your healing. That's cool. Okay, next up, Flames of Zoroth. Fire damage increased by 2%, and damage dealt by your demons is increased by 2%. All right, ain't nothing wrong with that. Abyssal Dominion, Grimoire Felguard, and Cataclysm gain additional effects. All right, so Grimoire Felguard for Demonology gets lasts 3 seconds longer, and its cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds. All right, that's good. Cataclysm for Destruction summons an Overfiend that casts Chaos Bolt 2 times 80% effectiveness before departing. Okay, I'm good with that. It's free, so you can't complain. And then finally, Gloom of Nathariza. Hand of Gul'dan deals 15% increased damage for each soul shard spent. Enemies marked by your Havoc take 10% increased damage from your single target spells. Okay. The capstone ability is Ruination. Summoning a Pit Lord causes your next Hand of Gul'dan or Chaos Bolt to become Ruination. Ruination is call down a demon-infested meteor from the depths of the twisting nether, causing chaos damage on impact to all enemies within 8 yards of the target, and summoning 3 wild imps. Okay. All right. Yep. That's. Yeah. All right. This is good. I like this tree. I might play my Warlock at some point. If this looks like something like this, and if it's actually good, yeah, who knows? I might actually play that Warlock. Bring him out of retirement. Maybe he's not such a dick after all. Finally, the last one is Colossus Warrior. This is for arms and protection. Colossus Warriors are the peak of pure physical might and resilience. They are veterans of countless battles and have the scars to show for it. Colossus know not only how to take a hit and keep going, but how and where to put their strikes to ensure that enemies don't. Now, there's a developer's note on here that says the warrior tree will be updated in the War Within to make Shockwave talent more easily accessible via class talents. We wanted to call this out as the Colossus tree interacts with Shockwave in a few places. Okay, that's really good because Blizzard is understanding that people don't always take Shockwave because it's in a weird place. It's almost like an end cap on one of the branches on the warrior class tree. So that I take it for Mythic Plus, but I wouldn't take it for Raid. So interesting. Okay, the keystone is Demolish. Unleash a series of precise and powerful strikes against your target and enemies within 8 yards of it. You can block, parry, and dodge while using this ability. 45-second cooldown. Huh. Okay, so it doesn't really tell us what it does, but it just hits. Hits your... Okay, so it hits your target. Okay, first up, Martial Expert. Your critical strike damage is increased by 10%, and the amount blocked by your critical blocks is increased by 10%. All right, we're going to increase our numbers. Cool. Colossal Might. Mortal Strike and Shield Slam grant a stack of Colossal Might. Colossal Might increases damage dealt by Demolish by 10% and stacks up to 5 times. Demolish consumes Colossal Might. Okay, so you have your interplay between your primary attack and Demolish. So cool. Now we have a choice node: Bone Shaker or Earthquaker. The warrior ability names are so dumb. Bone Shaker is Shockwave's stun duration is increased by 2 seconds. All right, that's fine. And Earthquaker is Shockwave also knocks enemies into the air and its cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. That's not annoying. It's kind of like the Evoker, whatever it's called, updraft or up, whatever. I forget what it's called. Okay, cool. Nice little utility there for Shockwave. Another choice node is One Against Many or Arterial Bleed. So One Against Many is Shockwave, Cleave, Whirlwind, and Revenge deal 5% more damage per target affected by up to 5%. Okay, cool. That's pretty good. deal 5% more damage per target affected up to 5. So it's not reduced damage after 5, it's just up to 5. All right, well, that's fine. Or Arterial Bleed, which is Colossal Might, increases the damage of Rend and Deep Wounds by 2% per stack. All right, then. It's kind of boring. Tide of Battle, Colossal Might increases the damage of Overpower and Revenge by 2%. Cool. It's just more damage. I like it. Next, we have a choice node, which is No Stranger to Pain and Rally. No Stranger to Pain is total damage prevented by Ignore Pain increased by 15%. Ooh, I like that. Or Rally, which is taking damage has a low chance to give you a second win for 2 seconds. All right. That's cool. Okay, Practiced Strikes. Mortal Strike and Shield Slam damage increased by 15%. All right, can't argue with that. True Might, Mortal Strike, and Shield Slam critical strikes grant an additional stack of Colossal Might. Which increases the damage of Demolish, and then Mountain of Muscle and Scars. You deal 5% more damage and take 2.5% less damage. Size increased by 5%. Is that permanent? You're just 5% bigger all the time? That's awesome. Okay. The Capstone ability is Unstoppable Force. Okay, here we go. Colossal Might now stacks 10 times. If you were to gain an initial stack of Colossus Might but are already at max stacks, the cooldown of Demolish is reduced by 2 seconds. While channeling Demolish, you are grounded, making you immune to stuns and effects that move you. That's kind of interesting. There could be a lot of useful cases for this, both in Mythic Plus and in Raid. We'll see. Okay, cool. I mean, that one sounds good. I've played Prot Warrior. I haven't really done Arms for a while. It's been a minute since I played Arms Warrior, but Prot I do play occasionally, and it's pretty fun. I prefer Fury. Obviously, my Fury Warrior is my main right now, but yeah, these are all very interesting trees, and I think that it really shows kind of their design philosophy and how some of these are going to be better than others just based on what you want to do. Now, it's important to point out that you can change your hero tree as easily as you can change your talents. So, for example, if you said, hey, I'm going to go this tree for trash, and then I'm going to switch it for bosses, great. You can have one for Mythic Plus, you can have one for Raid, you can have whatever. But again, like I said, I feel like it's important to get your feedback to Blizzard, to say something. So I am going to put the link to the article that Blizzard posted the other day in the show notes. Look at it and look at the class that you're interested in playing and see if this is something that sounds good to you. Because if it sounds bad, like the rogue one, which to me, I feel like that's a huge oversight. And if it's not, if it affects bosses, then you need to put that in there because that does not sound good at all. So, take the time, submit your feedback. It's really important. They are listening to us. Blizzard is listening. They actually care what we have to say. They want to make this game fun for us. They are not making the game and saying, you guys have to play the game that we want. They are saying, we want to make the game that you want. So submit your feedback. Be positive about it, but submit it and tell them exactly what it is you don't like about whatever. Or tell them what you do like. Say, I really like this. I want more Wildstalker Druid. I want more Diabolist Warlock. Tell them that, because that gives them the encouragement to say, okay, people like this. This is good. Let's go with it. So it's really important to submit your feedback. It's really important. We are in uncharted territory, folks. There is no history of this sort of thing with Blizzard ever. They've never been this open with us. I'm remembering back to Shadowlands and how miserable it was listening to them say, yeah, we have a parachute for a ripcord for Covenants, but we're not going to pull it right now. And Shadowlands stank for the first patch and a half until they finally pulled the ripcord and said, fine, you can switch your Covenants, but it's still going to be a pain in the butt. If the Covenants had been a talent choice that you could just pick and just switch it at will, oh my gosh, it would have been so much better. But it wasn't, and it's not, so that's where we are. All right. We're going to wrap this up. This went way longer than I intended to, and I'm sorry about that. So if you're still listening, I really appreciate it. But yeah, we're gonna wrap this up here, and yeah, I think that's it for that's it for the something new. But seriously, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Like I said, this was kind of a one-off deal, and I really enjoyed kind of doing a deep dive, and I feel like if I can get a little bit better at it, this is something that I would really enjoy doing in the future. So I do have a lot of knowledge about the classes because I do read a lot, but unfortunately, I don't have the opportunity to play all of the classes as often as I'd like. So this is a really interesting insight into some of these classes, and maybe kind of piqued my interest in some cases. So hopefully it did the same for you. Anyway, that's going to be our show for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you all enjoy. If you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at denethar1@gmail.com, or you can contact me at Twitter. I am at Denethar. You can also occasionally catch me streaming. I am Denethar01 on Twitch and on YouTube. So you can catch me there. And meanwhile, have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. It'll probably be about Wednesday, but enjoy, and be good to each other out there, and smile and be nice. I'll see you in Azeroth.